Karting games are a staple if we need to make a game for this character with no story, and there's a surprising number of karting games out there, which is why I'm listing 10 characters you won't believe have karting games. We are starting with a character since 1987 that has expanded to over 50 games on multiple systems. Surely a karting game had to be one of them. Mega Man Battle Chase was developed by Capcom for the PlayStation console. It was released in Japan in 1997 and later in North America in 1998. You can do all the things you would do in a Mega Man game, like shoot, jump, and even use abilities. The game features characters from the Mega Man video game series racing against each other in high-speed, futuristic vehicles across various tracks. Players can choose from a variety of characters, as this game is essentially one hero versus multiple bosses. So aside from Mega Man, the roster is pretty even, including Proto Man, Iceman, Shadow Man, Napalm Man, and his infamous N-Bomb. While a racing game, the element of battling is a key component, with shooting and jumping being part of the game. Now, this next character isn't even originally from the game, but from one of the biggest, most iconic animated movies of all time from Pixar. Next up is Woody from Toy Story. Due to its popularity, there are many different Toy Story games, but believe it or not, there had to be a racer. Toy Story Racer was developed by Traveler's Tales and published by Disney Interactive for the PlayStation and Game Boy Color consoles. It was released in 2001. In the game, players take control of various characters from the Toy Story films, including Woody, Buzz Lightyear, and Jessie, and the most obvious, RC, as they race through various tracks inspired from locations from the films. As expected, they are toy-sized when racing, so the tracks like Andy's house and Sid's backyard make sense. Next up is a popular turn-based monster fighting game. With many games over the years, it was bound to happen. But no, not this one. This isn't a karting game, it's a tragedy. Rather, I'm talking about Digimon with Digimon Racing, a kart racing game developed by Kryptonite Games and published by Bandai for the Game Boy Advance console. It was released in 2004 with big names like Agumon, Gabumon, and Salamon. Anyways, Digivolving was cool and they barely fit in the cars, which is actually funny. Next up is an icon in Japan who burst into the scene. Bomberman has a game titled Bomberman Kart, developed and published by Hudson Soft for the PlayStation 2 and Nintendo GameCube consoles. This was released only in Japan in 2003. In the game, players take control of various characters from the Bomberman franchise, including Bomberman himself, white, black, red, and if you work really hard you could unlock green. Aside from the karting, there is a mode to play a standard game of Bomberman. Cool side game. Next up is a character infamous for their laugh.
Guess who?
Woody Woodpecker. Woody Woodpecker, developed by Echo Software and published by Konami for the PlayStation and Game Boy Color consoles, was released in the year 2000. In the game, players take control of various characters from the Woody Woodpecker franchise, including Woody himself, Woody Woodpecker, and your boy Chili Willy, as they race through various tracks inspired by locations from around the world, including Brazil, Italy, and Japan. It has elements you'd find in other games like attacking opponents next to you and power-ups, but try not staying in the menu too long, you get over the laugh very quickly. This next one is probably a character you least expect to be in a racing game. Hiccup from How to Train Your Dragon should be in a game racing dragons, right? Wrong. It's DreamWorks Superstar Karts, developed by Tantalus Media and published by Activision for the PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, and Nintendo Wii in 2011. The game features characters from the various DreamWorks franchises, including Shrek with Donkey, Madagascar with Alex, and How to Train Your Dragon and Monsters vs. Aliens with Bob. Next up, we got a character who started in newspapers and made his way to the big screens, Garfield. Iconic moves in iffy games, Garfield Kart Furious Racing is developed by Artifact Studio and published by Microids for various platforms including PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, and PC in 2019. The game features characters from the Garfield franchise, including Garfield, Odie, John, racing through various tracks inspired from locations from the comics. And you get cups such as the Lasagna Cup, Pizza Cup, Burger Cup, and Ice Cream Cup. And now we have one of the most iconic characters of all time, who, if anything, it makes sense to have a karting game.
What's up, Doc?
Bugs Bunny in Looney Tunes Racing is developed by Milburn House and published by Infogrames for the PlayStation console, and was released in the year 2000. The game features characters from the Looney Tunes franchise, including Bugs Bunny, Tweety Bird, and even characters you wouldn't expect in a game like Gossamer and Smokey the Genie. They race through various tracks inspired by locations from the cartoons. Even if you've watched just a bit of Looney Tunes over the years, you'll feel the nostalgia in this game. Just don't use Space Jam 2 as your reference. You might remember an animated movie called Ants, about Z, an ant who feels irrelevant in his anthill and meets Bala, who feels the same way. Unaware that Disney has some great plans for both of them, they meet again. Yeah, so that had a racing game. Ants Extreme Racing was developed by Supersonic Software and published by Empire Interactive for the PlayStation 2 and Game Boy Color consoles. It was released in 2002. Now, the game features characters from the animated film Ants, including Z, Princess Bala, and General Mandible, as they race through various tracks inspired from locations in the movie. And they race in cars, bugs, or even foot races. Now, last but certainly not least is the most recognizable puppet out there, Kermit. Now, Kermit the Frog is in a game called Muppet Race Mania, developed by Traveler's Tales and published by Midway Games for the PlayStation console. This was released in the year 2000. The game features characters from Muppets franchise, including Kermit the Frog, Miss Piggy, Gonzo, Animal, and the always iconic Johnny Fiamma, as they race through various tracks inspired by locations from their 6 movies. Right? They had a really iconic era. Each character has their own unique vehicle and quite a diverse roster for a PS1 game, which is also funny that you never really see their feet in the game because, well, puppets. And that pretty much concludes the list. Did any of them catch you off guard? Let me know in the comments below, and till next time.